After completing my 10th class exams in 1979, my father suggested that I go and help my father's uncle and learn astrology. Mathematics being my favorite subject, I learned the calculations. My grandfather taught me how to calculate the inclinations of each planet and how to calculate the lagna and the meridian center MC. And he gave me some birth charts to draw. Thus, I learned how to draw the birth charts first and showed interest in predictions. So my grandfather told me some predictions, some of the tips that he usually uses for predictions, and after learning those tips I documented some of them. I verified with my father. While my father and my grandfather have laid the foundation for me to get interested in astrology, for almost a decade or 2 decades, I didn't show any interest. Welcome to Shastri Karra's Astrological series. In this presentation for the year 2026, I'm going to talk about the planetary positions based upon the sidereal ephemeris. Basically, I will start with planets, more than 4 planets that are co-joined in one particular Rashi, and then I go for the planets that have been moved from one particular Rashi to another particular Rashi. Once that particular analysis is completed, I will take the examples of the charts for United States of America and Republic of India, analyze both the charts, how the country's situation will be for the year 2026. If possible, I will be taking one or two individual charts and then try to analyze how their year for the year 2026, how their future will be. I hope you'll enjoy this video just like you did it for the previous year's ephemeris analysis. Thank you. Now that I completed analyzing using the Behuru Chakra Paddhati, let me go and see for this particular female native, what does the Behuru Sarla Paddhati rules, which rules are possible for her to get married and why didn't it work out. First and the foremost here is, if you see here, after the 27th birthday and before the 28th birthday, that means we call it as 28 years old. So at that age, Saturn implements its energy in the 6th house from itself. That's the Bihurugu Sarla Paddhati, one of the rule. So when you look at Saturn, the 6th house from its natal position is second house, its own house. So Saturn is activating the second house from Rashi Lagna, which it owns it, and also that is the house is the 12th house from Chandra Lagna. So second house is Kutumbasthanam and 12th house is pleasures of bed, and Saturn is the lord of the second house. So and Moon is residing in the house owned by Saturn. So this is one of the best period for the native to get married. But unfortunately, according to the Vimsottari Dasa, if you look at it, at the age of in 2006 and 2007, it is the Jupiter Mahadasa that was running during that period, and Jupiter is co-joined with Saturn. Jupiter and Saturn are bigger rivals, made big planets and have a rivalry. And then if you there is another Birul Sarla Paddhati which says that wherever Saturn and Jupiter resides, it spoils the bhava of Mesha, Aries. So from here, Rashi Lagna, the Masis is the fifth house, that is the Putrasthanamu. So they spoiled them. So there might be having a possibility for the native to get married during this period. And even if the native got married, the chances for the native to have children is close to zero. But here the native did not get married because of the multiple planets that are co-joined with Saturn. So let's go and look at the next behavioral Sarla Paddhati rule, which is at the age of 32. That's another possibility. Three planets have three different rules. First, we'll talk with the Jupiter. Jupiter's fifth aspect is on the first house, and it owns its own house. So Lagna's Tanustanamu. So it is supposed to activate the first house, and because it's the lord of the first and the fourth house, that's a possibility for the native to get married, which it did not happen because of the multiple planets that Jupiter has co-joined with it. And then comes the Mercury. Mercury is also co-joined with Jupiter. It is supposed to activate the same first house, but it did not do it because Mercury is again co-joined with Saturn, Rahu, Sun, and Venus. And if you look at it, that is the place, that's Leo, where the sun is the lord. Okay, then comes the moon, activates the second house from its natal position. Moon is in the third house from natal position, so when it activates the second house from its natal position, it is going to activate the fourth house from Rashi Lagna, which is owned by Jupiter. So that that's another reason for the native to, that might, the possibility for a native to get married is because of this activation, and because moon is having a direct aspect from multiple malefics like Rahu and Saturn. It did not happen either. So that the two possibilities at the age of 28 and age of 32 is gone. Now let's go and see at the age of 35. Wherever Jupiter sits, he gives the result. From Chandra Lagna, Jupiter is in the seventh house. So theoretically, it is supposed to make the native think about getting married, even though the native mentally is prepared to get married. Practically, it did not happen because it is 2018 and 2013 and 2014. We are still going through the Jupiter Mahadasa. So then comes the age of uh, that is, I think, by the time when I responded to this particular member in the face group, these are the primary reasons that I felt like if the chances are close to zero. That's what I mentioned in 2015. Now let me go and see further down. It's like 2018 and 19. The native is 40 years old. Jupiter will implement itself in where he is located. The Jupiter is located in the seventh house from Chandra Lagna. It is supposed to activate it. It did not activate it. So what you can see here is, oh, the next one is Mercury implements its energy in the seventh house from itself. Mercury is in the seventh house from Chandra Lagna, so it is supposed to activate the first house from Chandra Lagna, which couldn't do it. And the next one is at the age of 48, that is 2026 and 2027. Saturn implements in the fourth house from itself. The fourth house from itself is the 12th house from Rashi Lagna, and that is owned by Mars. And Mars is in the seventh house from Rashi Lagna. So that's another possibility, but the possibility is very remote. The chances are close to zero again. So this is how you have to. That's how one has to go through different possibilities from different perspectives. First, you look at from the Lagna, the planet's inclination, then the aspects of the planets in the D1 chart, then the Vimsottari Dasa, and then the Bihurvis Chakra Paddhati and Bihurvis Sarla Paddhati. After going all three things, it's confirmed that the chances for this particular native to get married is extremely difficult, and it is close to zero. Just to check, what would it be when we are looking at the Sudarshan Chakra Dasa? Here I just calculated the Sudarshan Chakra Dasa for this particular female native, and if you look at it, the fourth cycle is going on for her. starting of February 2015, ending until 2027 February. So that's when the first communication started between myself and the Facebook member. So February 2015, if you look at it, then I was like, okay, in that fourth cycle, what is the current sub cycle? Is the 12th cycle. In the main cycle is the fourth one, the sub cycle is the 12th one, 12th cycle. The 12th cycle started in the February of 2026. Next, I mean, yeah, is going to start in February 2026 and last for 1 year. So the Mahadasa is the 12th house Lord, and then you have the Antardasas. So from Rashi Lagna, the 12th house Lord is Mars. So the Mahadasa Lord is Mars. Mars Mahadasa will be running according to Sudarshan Chakradasa. Mars is the 12th house Lord, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th house Lord too, residing in the 7th house. And I already explained why Mars Mahadasa, Mars could not help the native to get married earlier based upon the other Bihuru Chakra Paddhati, Birla Sarla Paddhati, and Bihuru Sarla Paddhati, and the routine planetary motions and transit analysis. I already mentioned all those things. So just to reiterate, Mars, it is residing in the house owned by Mercury. And if you look at it, Mercury is exalted there. Okay. So Mars is, when Mars is exalted in Capricorn, its enemy is Mercury. So Mars is residing in the house owned by its enemy. That is the another reason why, even though Mars is willing to do something good, because it is residing in its enemy's house, some of the good things that it wants to do, it couldn't make it happen. That's exactly what is going to see here, even from the Sudarshan Chakradasa. That's the reason why I said the possibility for her to get married is not that high, because even the Sudarshan Chakradasa is not cooperating.